Today I'm going to be going over all of the Fire Emblem games and putting them into a tier list based off of my experiences. So to start out the tier list, I'm going to put all of the games that I haven't played or finished into a bottom tier list. Either due to them not being translated over to English, besides through an emulator, I just haven't gotten around to playing them. And some of them I just have not finished yet. So starting off with Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, I have played through like 2 chapters of it maybe, and that's off of the one that recently came out on the Switch. I just did not continue it because of the quality of life changes. It was very hard for me to get around to playing it. I do want to play it eventually. I want to play all of the games eventually. I just need to get around to it. So that one I haven't fully finished. And then Fire Emblem Gaiden, I haven't played at all. I've played the remake, but I have not played the original. And then same with Mystery of the Emblem, haven't gotten around to that, haven't played that one at all. Genealogy of the Holy War, I haven't gotten around to playing. And then Thracia, I haven't gotten around to. What else? The new Mystery of the Emblem, I haven't played. And lastly, Fire Emblem Blazing Blade. Is this Blazing Sword? Whatever that one translates into. That one I've played like 1 chapter through, just testing out an emulator, but have not finished that one. So that's all the games I haven't finished. Well, I'll count Shadow Dragon, because I've played, I think, enough chapters to give me a handle on it. So these are the leftover games that we will be ranking. I'll add them in chronological order based on when the game's released. The reason I have SS, S, A, B, and C is because I feel like in my mind, all of the games I've played, there's not a Fire Emblem game that I would deem as like a terrible game. I've enjoyed my time in all of them, some more than others, but I wouldn't say there's like a garbage tier Fire Emblem. That's probably biased because Fire Emblem is one of my favorite series, but that's how I feel. So this is more like a god tier game, almost a perfect game in my eyes. I had a lot of fun. It was average game, and this is like just below average or around average probably. So that is going to be my list and how it works. So starting off with Fire Emblem 7. I tried to finish this game multiple times when I was younger, but just got halfway through and never finished. So only this past year did I actually finish this game. And in my eyes, it's without having that nostalgia tied into it, because this will be a lot of people's probably first Fire Emblems, because it was the first one released in the West. Without having that, I can't put it that high, I feel like. I think in my eyes, this is a very average game. I don't know if that's going to offend people at all, but it was a solid game. I have no complaints with the game at all. The characters were fun, gameplay was fun, but there's just nothing in it that took it over the edge for me, in my eyes, at least. So I'm going to put it at B, because I think it is the best showcase of it is a good game. Okay, moving on to the Sacred Stones. This, another case of I tried to finish it multiple times and got halfway through probably like 5 times and never actually finished it until recently. This is hard. It's gonna be in one of these tiers. I'm trying to think in my head if I like it better or worse than Fire Emblem 7. I think in my mind, it had more, it tried to do more, right? I liked the concept more of like adding the monsters that you fight, adding the two protagonists with Erica and Ephraim. I liked that a little bit more. So I think in my mind, Sacred Stones is just above Fire Emblem 7. I don't know if that means I should drop this one to C or keep it here. But I think that's, in my mind, I think this one just squeaks out above Fire Emblem 7. It tried to do more than this. This, I feel like it was just it was a basic Fire Emblem. Now that I'm looking at this list, it does not have Fire Emblem Engage on it. Okay, I got a different tier list now that has everything, including spin-off games. So I haven't actually played any of the Warrior games or anything like that. So they are also in never played. Okay, which game are we on now? Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. This was my first Fire Emblem game that I ever played and finished through. This is what got me into the series. I was young enough and my brother happened to borrow the game from one of his friends. So from him borrowing it, I got to watch him play it and got to play it myself. So this holds a lot of nostalgia for me. So it is probably one of my top tier games. I'm trying to think. Like, it has, in my mind, the best story. Between it and Radiant Dawn, it's got the best storyline in any of the games. I think it has some of the best characters in the games, the best enemies, the best bosses. The one thing I think holding it back a little bit would be, and this isn't a bad thing per se, but I might like Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn a little bit more because I felt there was obviously more content with the splitting paths, and I really enjoyed the maps in Radiant Dawn. You had elevation changes that added another aspect to the game between like the boulders coming down or having the height advantage when holding a castle, and you have better hit rates from higher up. Just so many things like that added. It wasn't too much of a change where it took away from the gameplay. It was just enough to, I think, complement it. So right now, thinking about it, I am thinking that Radiant Dawn is my top game at the moment. These two can very easily switch between each other, I think. But in my mind, these are the peak of Fire Emblem. Okay, Shadow Dragon, I have not finished. I've played a good chunk of it, and it was a solid game, but not being that I hadn't finished it, I won't rank it. Fire Emblem Awakening, so the start of the 3DS games. This game was the first Fire Emblem game that I actually purchased on my own. So I'm going out to the store to buy it, so that holds a memory to me. I think there was a lot that they did right with this game. I think the story was pretty good. I enjoyed some of the gameplay. It tried to do some new things with pairing up units, and like you had the whole children units and all of that. Where do I want to place this? At the end of this, I might rearrange some, because as I'm looking, I'm like, it's hard to rank. There's so many different, each game kind of brings its own unique flair to it, so it's hard to rank. Right now I'm between S and A. I'm hesitant to put it S because I feel like there's some other games in this list that I'm gonna put S. So I think I'm conservatively gonna put it in A right now. It could easily be bumped up depending on where I place these guys. Same with these games, honestly. This list might change on the fly a little bit. Okay, moving on to Fire Emblem Fates. It is a 3-game package. I have played through all of them. And in my order, I think Conquest is my favorite out of them. Because I feel like it had the better challenge to it and some better maps to it. I did like the Birthright aesthetic, right? It had that Japanese samurai sort of aesthetic to it, which I really enjoyed, but not enough to bring it above Conquest. Revelation was a weird one. I enjoyed it, but also, no, Birthright and Revelations are very close to each other. Right now I'm leaning Revelation a little bit above Birthright. So Conquest would be very close to Awakening, I think, in my mind. And then Revelation and Birthright would be just below that. I think that's how my list is going to work out. That makes sense in my mind. Again, solid games. I think solid story behind it. I do think that this is where Fire Emblem, the characters started to fall off a little bit. It seemed like they tried too hard to make, I don't know, a unique character, but really having no background to that character. Right? It's like, oh, give the characters colored hair and make their whole identity this one thing, right? And I mean, we saw that in Awakening with what's his name? The thief guy. Yeah, we saw that in Fire Emblem Awakening with Gaius the thief, where his whole identity is, ooh, I love candy. And that was the main thing that was about him. But then you look at something like Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn with like Soren, who has like a whole backstory to him about being picked up by this mage because he was thrown out, and being raised by this one mage because he's a branded, and just this whole backstory involved. And it makes you like the character, think about the character, like it gives you a reason to like the character, right? I feel like the 3DS games lacked that. They didn't really have characters that I feel like I could get behind. Still solid gameplay and solid story, but beyond the main characters, none of your other characters really had any depth to it. So that's why I think they're lower on the list. Fire Emblem Echoes. So being a remake, it was the first time I played through the story of this game, so it was essentially a new title for me. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed it. Very much did feel like a different style of game than a normal Fire Emblem, right? It had some different mechanics. It had the whole dungeon crawling kind of aspect to it. Where do I put this one? I think the story was good. I liked the splitting paths of Alm and Celica, and between fighting your two different battles essentially, and then eventually coming together. That was enjoyable. But again, I don't know. In my mind, the 3DS games just didn't have enough going for it. It's hard for me to rank this. Like Fire Emblem, all of these games I enjoyed playing through. I didn't ever have an experience where I just was like trudging through to finish the game. I did enjoy all of these games. So it's honestly, I could have a tier list probably of just one line. They're all the same. That's not fun. So I need to think about where I want to put these. Conquest, Echoes. Where do you go? Thinking above Birthright for me. I might honestly drop Birthright down a little bit. I don't know. Birthright, again, it had a fun aesthetic to it. It had some decent gameplay and everything. it just felt like too easy of a game. It felt like Conquest was meant to be the hard one, and Birthright was meant to kind of hold your hand and be easy. So that, for me, takes away from the game. And I don't know. That's in my eyes, at least. Fire Emblem Heroes being the mobile game, I did play it quite a bit, at least when it first launched. I played through all of the story, so I don't know what they've added since. It's probably gotten a lot better. It's a mobile game. For what they did in the mobile game, I did enjoy it. I had fun, but it's got to be bottom of the barrel. All of these games I had more fun with, more entertainment out of, multiple playthroughs. Heroes was a semi-gotcha game, and that's about it. So that's where I'd put Heroes. I think then bumping up Sacred Stones makes sense in my mind. I think it's on par with Revelation and Echoes. Okay, moving on to the 2 Switch games. Three Houses and Engage. Oh, well, I think this is a solid S game for me. I played a shit ton of this game. Played through all 4 storylines. Played on maddening, played on everything. I do think their difficulty system is a little jank. Like, I played through on all the difficulties, like normal, hard, maddening. And normal and hard did not feel different at all. I was still able to, like, get all of my guys to start one-shotting the enemy quite early on. So it didn't feel like it scaled up properly. Obviously, maddening was difficult. You actually kind of had to think about what you did. But I don't know. I didn't see much difference between normal and hard. Not that that takes away from the game at all. I don't know. I think this game started to correct itself in terms of characters. You kind of, with the monastery, got to learn a little bit more about the characters and actually interact with them. So that kind of helped out in terms of making itself better than the 3DS games. And then obviously having the time split, and I don't know, it felt like a cohesive story that, like playing as Dimitri having to go up against Edelgard later on, and just you could kind of feel the emotions of what the characters were going through. So that was fun. I think for a first playthrough, the whole monastery and training your guys, doing all of that was fun. In subsequent playthroughs, it starts to get a little tedious, because then you feels like a checklist that you have to slowly, okay, I finished a map, now I gotta spend 20 minutes prepping everything, right? So I know people complain about that a lot. I still enjoyed my time on it. I've enjoyed every other playthrough of it. I enjoy the flexibility of the game, that you can make any character anything that you want. You could you do a run with only bows, with only magic. You could make the tanky unit a healer. You could make the healer a tanky unit, or anything like that. So I enjoyed, yeah, you could kind of customize your army a little bit more. I enjoyed that a lot. So that's why I think it is an S tier game. It's not enough to bring it up with Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn, but it is just on the edge. And Fire Emblem Engage. One game left to rank. Now, if I'm going for a nice symmetric list, I put it right here. But I don't think it's an S tier game. I enjoyed myself on the game, but it felt very disjointed. I think gameplay was great. I think it relied too heavily on the ring system for nostalgia, right? There was some semi-bland characters, but it's like, hey, you can add an Ike ring to this person, and hey, look at that, it's Ike, right? That I think they tried too heavily to rely on that mechanic to sell the game. I don't think the protagonist was anything special. The divine dragon, over and over again, kind of. So the story I felt was quite lacking. Again, gameplay, everything like that, super fun. Enjoyed it a lot. There was a lot of customizability with the rings, with giving your guys like the Sigrun ring and having Kanto and having them move super far, or having Silica and giving her warp, and then you can warp like an entire group of units all the way across the map, right? There was a lot of flexibility. So in terms of gameplay, I think it could be an S tier game. Story wise, I think it starts to bring it down. I think it's worse than Conquest. I think it's above Revelation for me. So I want to put it here, move Fire Emblem Awakening up. Just beside it, had good gameplay, it had good story above this. So right now I'm looking at this list and I think I like it. Fire Emblem Heroes at the bottom. Birthright. I don't know. Echoes is a hard one for me to rank. I don't know if it belongs down here or up here. It might go like something like that. Honestly, I'd probably have to replay through a bunch of these games just to actually remind myself. I think I enjoyed myself more playing through Fire Emblem 7 than through Echoes. I did enjoy my time playing through Echoes, but I think Fire Emblem 7 I had more fun with. Anything else a problem with this? Revelations might be a little too high then too, because I don't think it stands out as a game at all. It's an addition to a game. I don't think it stands out. So it might be bottom of B for me. I think the top of this makes sense to me. Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, top games. Three Houses and Awakening, just below that, Conquest and Engage. I think that's a solid top. But realistically, I could probably move a few of these up and it would make sense. In my opinion and in my playthroughs of how much I enjoyed the game, this is a solid list for me. Yeah, I think I like our list. I've moved some things around. Revelations, I think, is down. Echoes is down. I've moved up 7 and 8. I think I like our list. It makes sense to me and in my mind. But yeah, that's my list. I think in terms of what I have played and my experiences in all of the games, this is my Fire Emblem tier list. If you guys disagree with it, let me know. It is a very personal opinion, right? You've really had fun in Revelations and it's your top game, great. Let me know what's wrong with my list in your eyes. I'd love to know. And if any of these games is your favorite down here that I have not played or finished, let me know. I'm looking for more games to play through, and I might just do a series on it. So I do want to eventually play through all of these Fire Emblem games. It's just a matter of getting through. So then I'd end up recording and then I'd probably post it. So let me know if any of these games catch your eye that you want me to play. But yeah, that's my list. That's about it. That's all. That's everything. Thanks for watching. Peace.